to
Is
bet
this
that,
the show?
yeah. So I'm willing to bet that at least 50% of the anglers that listen to this also hunt. What do you think?
Wait, this is still the show, the actual podcast, or we're taking a break?
What is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. I am your host, Joe Santiago, with my partner, as always, Chris Pereira.
What's going on?
Tonight we have a little bit of an interesting guest, going a little bit in a different direction here, Chris, than we ever have. This guy basically, in a nutshell, makes sense for both hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you
yeah,
know?
go
I
ahead.
mean, I'll ask him when he comes on, but maybe you know, did he start off with one or the other and then move on to the.
I don't know much. All I know is the stuff works. We'll just wait for him for that.
Yeah.
Other news before he comes on real quick. Well, exciting news. We got added to GoPro Pro staff, which is pretty exciting for most people. Me and Chris aren't that excited. Chris is complaining it's not enough, but we'll
feel like
take it.
you're pretty excited.
I mean, it's cool. You know, GoPro's a big one.
I want my flip phone back.
You'll get your flip phone, but we are going fishing with Chuck Manny in only 6 days from now. And the GoPro footage and GoPro channel, which is doing very well, should have better quality and more footage because of this new connection with GoPro. Also, Captain Ron's Fisherman, as usual. Captain Ron is smashing the striped bass. If you don't own a boat and you are looking to get in on this striper boat blitz that's going on, Captain Ron is the perfect boat to jump right on right now. It's the time to go.
Yeah, the bay is packed. I mean, I was out there Sunday. It was actually a pretty tough bite. I don't know why. I actually heard a lot of people complaining about the fishing on Sunday. A couple of people did pretty well. It looked like there was marks all over the bay. I couldn't tell you why, but their mouths were just glued shut. It was tough to get by. I mean, we caught a handful, but it was tough. It was not what you'd expect, but they're there, and the fishing's going to only get better day to day. It's just something weird about the weather. Had them kind of in like this window bite, I guess, that we missed.
Yeah, I think Sunday, most people, I didn't fish Sunday, but most people I talked to Sunday, they had a pretty rough day. I think Mike K and Fast Eddie went out like experimenting for Mike K's guide service salmon trips, and they did pretty well. They put up pictures with a lot of salmon, so if you're looking to catch landlocked salmon right now, I guess it's a great time to call Mike K's guide service because he seems to be honed in on them currently. Most of the Lake Apacon guys seem to be fishing from shore. Some of them are actually posting pretty decent fish. I don't know. I have no idea what they're actually doing, but
I think they're doing that like on their off time, like for themselves.
They're just fishing, but I mean they're catching nice fish from shore. I guess there's a lot of accessibility to spots that you normally couldn't fish from shore that now you can. Obviously, the guides know where to go.
So you don't confuse the hell out of anyone listening like you always do, they're still doing their guided trips at Greenwood Lake. They're not guiding from the shore on Lake Apacon. They're doing that on personal time.
Oh,
But
and Eddie Mackin's boat is out of the water for the season. He's done.
is he
But
done?
well, he's done. It's just too much for them.
Yeah.
Lake Apac Guide Service made the move to Greenwood, and I guess Mackin just is now taking time off. Mackin's hunting anyway. He's busy. But
You know
yeah,
what? If you wanted to give it a try, I bet you I could get my boat into Lake Opakong, and I know it well enough that I could navigate it safely with the water down. I bet you we could crush it. There's no one fishing there.
it is a curious offer. I am available Saturday.
I've gotten my boat into some. You wouldn't believe. I mean, I won't go ahead and name other lakes.
It would
But
be cool. Everyone else is running from Lake Apac and we're launching onto it. I'm into that. Like I would do it.
I've put my. You can talk to Dwayne about it. We've put my boat into some pretty hairy situations. I mean, we backed the boat once on a water drawdown on a different lake, and there's video somewhere of it. We backed that boat down through. I had my truck completely in the water. It was so low, and I just used the 4-wheel drive to drive back out through the mud. I mean, it was a terrible idea, but I guess all's well that ends well.
Well, yeah, sometimes whatever it takes. Chris currently has a Instagram giveaway going on with Big Buck Baits. If you go on our Instagram, there is a $30 striper bundle of swim shads going on. That's fairly easy to enter. I don't know when that ends or how the winner's being picked of that, actually.
You know what? I didn't even put an end date on it. We're just going to end it someday this week. Might be over by the time this airs on Thursday because we're recording. It's Monday. Basically, it just gets to the point where anyone who's seen it that wants to enter, I'm assuming, has seen it. And we're just gonna spin the wheel.
The YouTube subscriber number continues to go up, so the giveaways will continue to go on. For now, as the number goes up, the giveaways will continue. We're currently happy with the situation. John Gabaguli did not provide much of a. It looked like he was on vacation. Watkins Glen. Have not a report from him. John Dorn, I think, has stabbed me in the back and broken my heart and gone to that other group that's changing its name to our name. I think, Dorn's gone over there, so he's gone. Mayhem has lost its mind completely. At this point, I'm done, even proposing it. If you're a member of Mayhem, I'd just leave, go somewhere else. I'd go back to Ken Beam's page now because it's just lost all control of itself. You have any other news?
Is this episode just going to be Joe rambling about things?
Yeah, let's get the guest in here. Do you have any other news, Chris?
Me and Max and Katie went lake trout fishing on Saturday before he suffered on Sunday with the stripers. It was even Saturday. I mean, you'd think, you're fishing before that front's coming in. It should be good. You read about fishing. It says fish before the front, fish into the front. We ended up having a good day, but it was a complete and total window bite. One of those situations. We struggled for probably 2.5 hours. And Dwayne and Luke were out there in another boat. They were having the same problem. The fish just didn't want to commit. And then something just turned them on and snapped. And all of a sudden they started committing for about an hour and a half. We had a window where we caught a bunch of fish and we got some cool video and it was a good day. Katie caught a real nice one, a real nice 28-inch lake trout, real 28-incher, none of this bullshit lengths. That's the one thing I can't stand, man. I know I've told you before. I can't stand the bullshitting on the lengths and the sizes of the fish.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But that's an entirely another episode, and you're just trying to make me angry. We do have awesome footage from that lake trout trip. I went on a fishing trip during the week with Max and all of them and I got to finally meet Katie Lynn. Went to a lake. It was horrible. I'll never go back. I'll never fish from shore again. Don't ever invite me. But they were all cool.
They said they have some good video of you. You know, yeah, you were climbing a tree or something, doing pull-ups, just ranting and raving.
I have no idea.
I can't wait to see that.
It was absolutely horrible. And also the video fishing with Ken Lazurchak is up. If you want to see the video of when me and Chris went albie fishing and got turned around by weather, you could watch that on YouTube now live. Chris, you want to get ready? We're going to bring our guest in.
Yeah, let's set this up and get him in here.
Okay. Okay, so we have our next guest ready. He's been making fish lures and deer lures and all kinds of scents in New Jersey for about 15 years now. He is the owner of Signal 11 Lures, Steve Ciasullo. We're glad to have you on the show today.
It's my honor to be on the show. I'm glad
What's up, Steve?
Thank you. How you doing, Chris? How are you, Joe?
Steve, I'm going to throw you right into the fire. We'll get right down to it. Chris is one of those guys who's a complete pain in the ass.
Right.
He doesn't believe anything I tell him. He does not believe anyone about anything, and his response to everything is, "Oh, I'll believe it when I see it." He has actually seen this work. Chris, am I right?
I mean, Steve, part of what he's saying is true. I do say that a lot. I'll believe it when I see it. And the last time me and Joe, I told a little story about our last hunting trip, and I don't think we mentioned exactly what happened when it came to your scent, but basically Joe sprayed, and Joe, what exact scent was it? I'm not even sure.
Basically, we went hunting 2 hunts ago, and we went 2 hunts ago, and we were caught. We got busted by 2 does, and it was I did not have the spray. I lost my bottles from last year, and we got winded. The hunt was ruined. I called Steve. I said, "Steve, I'm out of my stuff." He sent me my package, and I said, "Chris, okay, let's go try again." And I actually we used freezer filler as cover scent around the tree stand. And then just out of the left side of my eye, like maybe 200 yards off in the distance, I saw a doe running and a buck trotting behind it. And I was just like, there's no way they're chasing already, I said to Chris. And I said, I should maybe just spray the tramp stamp. So I took the tramp stamp out of the bag, and I just spritzed a few sprays out of the stand. And I said, we'll see what happens, whatever. I never sprayed it this early. I would say probably within 14 minutes, there was a buck that's never been on the trail camera before standing right under where the spray hit, and I never even saw it. Chris is like, dude, there's a buck right underneath you.
Yeah, I'm Steve. I'm new to hunting, and this is the first year, that I started going with Joe, and we get into that a little bit later. But yeah, Joe usually sees the deer first, and I don't think he was expecting this spray to work that well or that quickly. And it came in, and it came in with a purpose, and I definitely look. I'm not saying I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of everything. Joe is right, and maybe it was partial coincidence, but I mean, it was pretty telling. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you've made this stuff from a chemical level or whatever. Like, how does it work? Like, what would make that work so well?
Just so everyone knows, because I know everyone's very nervous because of the new law. Now in Jersey, you can't buy the actual stuff, you have to buy the synthetic. So Steve has to make special synthetic stuff just to sell to Jersey hunters. So this stuff we're using is the synthetic. So if you're afraid that the synthetic doesn't work as well as the real one, I would have an argument against that.
Correct. Well, I'll give you guys a little background on a few different things, try to answer Chris's question, why it works. First of all, to be skeptical of stuff like deer scent is absolutely normal. I mean, if you're not, if you're into hunting and you have a whole bunch of, if you have a grunt call, you probably have 5 of them because you're not sure if the one you have is the right tone, and so you end up trying different things, which is pretty normal in the hunting business. To have people that are skeptical, and that's perfectly fine. The stuff I make is not magic. It's not going to make a bad hunter shoot deer. Sometimes it may, but it makes a good hunter have a lot more opportunities than maybe he would have not using it. Excuse me. So in a case like what you guys did, it's hard for me to actually give 100% answers on why things worked on a certain day, because without actually seeing what or knowing exactly what hunters did when they used it, it's hard to tell, because people will. You got to remember, not only do I have feedback from my own testing and from good friends of mine that hunt, but I also get feedback from people, mostly from people I have no idea who they are, from all over the United States. I sell a lot of deer scent throughout the entire country, and I get probably around 10% of the people will get in touch with me in one way or another via phone call or an email. And some of the stuff is really interesting. So I've learned a lot from people that use my products. So in a case like where you guys were out there, apparently you guys went hunting a week before. You may have got picked off scent wise, and stuff like that freezer fill that I make. That's a very interesting scent. It's a curiosity scent. That's what I formulated it for. But it actually works in a couple ways. It definitely makes the deer curious. They'll come into it. If you have a scent wick hanging, they'll come right in, sometimes stick their nose right on it. I've had deer bed down in it, next to it. If you spray bushes, I've had bucks and does literally have their heads in the bushes. So they get it on them, which is interesting, but it also calms deer. The deer will come in, they'll usually remain very calm around freezer filler.
They do the freezer when they come in and you have the freezer filler out. They're much less weary. They are calmer. Definitely, yes. They are calmer.
Yeah. So some people call that a herd scent. There's different brands out there that everybody names stuff different. I named it freezer filler because to me it was about filling your freezer, whether it has antlers or not. It's really a scent that anybody can use, and it's a little more than just a herd scent. A herd scent may smell like a buck or may smell like a doe. That in itself is an attractant, and that should keep the deer fairly calm. But I add multiple ingredients into all my bottles of deer lore, and these formulas that I came up with in around 2008, I haven't changed them at all. All these years, they stayed exactly the same. And so that freezer filler is really a calming scent, a cover scent, and an attractant all in one. And so that's why it's one of the most common scents that I sell to people. And guys use it, hunters use it early season. They use it in the rut, and they use it late season because in the rut, if you're bringing a lot of does in, the bucks are usually following. So it's a great way to get bucks in front of you without using estrus.
Now, can you delve now into the fishing side of your business? Because we don't know that much about it. We know that Jen Wong rants and raves about it. Every picture he posts online has a bottle of it in it. He basically told me when I saw him, he doesn't even leave his house without it.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about it. What is the story with this now, with the lip glue? Yeah. And what other fishing products are there?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you about the guy, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I've seen, all the posts from Jen Wong. Like Joe said, looks like he never leaves home without it. Apparently that's actual fact. And I have some scents in my bag, and I sometimes use them when the bite's tough. And I've never really been totally sold on any of these scents. And so I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate, and I want to I want to know more about it too. And yeah, so go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Yeah, lip glue. I have lip glue, and then I have a saltwater bait that I make as well, which is Jersey Fluke Bellies. I can tell you a little bit about that if you're
Oh,
interested.
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those
you
are my
make
three.
Those. This guy owns like every company
Steve,
of stuff
I
that I
gotta be
use.
honest. I had no idea that the Jersey Fluke Belly stuff was connected with the lip glue.
Yeah, how do you? This guy's like I know all this stuff is one person. You need to like name it all one thing.
That's a Jersey Fluke.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that. It sucks that fluke season's over, but we're gonna get into that for sure.
Wait a minute, because those fluke bellies are better than the deer spray. Let's talk about the fluke bellies.
The fluke bellies is a whole nother. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I started the deer scent because I did a lot of deer hunting, so I started fooling around with the scents.
I'm sorry to just cut you off. What was the first one you started with? What'd you start with? Deer?
Signal 11 lures, the deer lure.
And Tramp Stamp was like the one that made you famous.
If I wouldn't say famous, but it's the one that most people. It's probably my number one selling product in the country.
The most well known. That's how I found out about it. Was Tramp Stamp. Okay.
Yeah, and back in 08 when I started this, and I came up with 2 or 3 cents, and I started to use them, and then gave it to a couple friends, and then back then we had check stations where we would check the deer in at the local sport shop, which was awesome. And so you'd be there, and somebody would look in the back of your pickup truck, see what you had, and you start talking. So one thing led to another, and the deer scent ended up being a business. It went from a hobby to a business because of demand and because it worked. But we're back on the fish scent. Fishing, the scent part of the fishing and the scent really came when I forgot who it was, and it wasn't Jen. It was somebody else that gave me a bottle of something to try, and I messed around with it. And the problem was when I used it, I could see where it would build my confidence maybe if I was catching fish, but I might have caught fish without it. But it kept coming off so quickly. I'm like, well, there's no way that it could possibly do anything. No. So I started messing around with scents for fish during the summer when my deer business, the deer lure business, slowed down. So I started messing around with the fish scent, and that took on a life of its own. My lip glue is basically, the name is just, a little play on words. Lip glue, obviously it's not glue. And I think in one episode way back when, I think Joe mentioned, you thought it was good glue or some kind of gimmick.
He said, Steve, he says all kinds of dumb shit.
I said that maybe the fish grabs the lure and his mouth stuck to it. It's a lip glue. I don't know what it is.
You didn't even need hooks. There's no hooks needed.
I had no idea Signal 11 made lip glue. I didn't even know it's the same company.
Yeah, and I got to just go back for a minute. I got to tell you guys, because of Jen, and I found your podcast probably the first episode. I just love that you two guys are great. I just like the way the stuff you talk about. Now you have all these different guests on. The show itself is the podcast is excellent. So
we appreciate that.
We love what you guys are doing. There's no doubt.
I appreciate that.
Can I just ask a question for my own curiosity? And I know, I'm trying to veer it towards fishing, but I just want to talk about hunting. So everyone's going to get pissed at watching this. But so originally, when you were allowed to, you were using real materials because obviously you were allowed to.
Right.
How is that process done? Do you have a farm full of deer, wearing diapers into a funnel? How's it being? How are you getting it?
We chase them around with Dixie cups. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, the industry, there are deer farmers all over the country. And I personally utilize 2 farms that are local. So most of the deer lure that's out there is basically deer pee in a bottle. So they collect it, they bottle it, they sell it. Some people put preservatives in it, some don't. That in itself does work, and it's pretty much what everybody's been using for years. But there are only a few companies that still exist or ever existed. I'm one of them, that we actually created a blend that the deer urine, instead of it being the main part of the deer lure, it's really just a carrier. It's really just a base for me. It's like water, it's urine, but it's a carrier for other things that I've come up with that I put in there to really create a curiosity or an effect that I want to have on a buck during the rut. And it's not even estrus. So that's really what the whole farm-wise, the urine comes from farms, which are all CWD certified free. It's a whole nother business. But that's what I use for my bases on the natural. But now that we had to switch to synthetic.
Now, when the government steps in and says, okay, we think CDC is spreading because of these bottles of urine, these companies are going to have to start making synthetic. Do you now have a panic attack and say, how the hell am I going to copy this?
Not at all. And this, if you have hunters listening to this, and I'm sure you do, I know a lot of us do both.
Or else we're screwed.
Well, what happened is we had a warning. I mean, the warning was out there in New Jersey for 2 years before they actually implemented it. And the reason is a lot of what Jersey does is they're following other states. So there was absolutely no panic attack for me, and I'll explain it to you. And then I'll tell you something that most people that hunt will recognize what I'm about to tell you. I was already making synthetic for other states in the United States that use synthetic. My bottles look exactly the same. It's Signal 11 lures. They're out there. The names were real simple at the time. It was basically I had a buck, I had a doe, and I had a curiosity, and they were just synthetics with not really anything added in them. And I did it just because I had people from other states calling me for synthetic, and I didn't have it. Now, I happen to have 2 chemical engineers in my immediate family, so it helped a lot. So 7 years prior to New Jersey implementing this new synthetic law, I was already successfully making and selling synthetic deer lure. So all I did when 2 years before we actually had to do it, I started taking my ingredients from my well-known freezer filler, tramp stamp, buck U. I already had those. I took those ingredients, I put them in my base, which is synthetic, and I tested it out myself. It worked. I gave it to a few people in Jersey. Didn't even tell them. They smelled it and said, wow, it smells great, smells potent. They used it and it worked. So for 2 years, all I really sat on was labels. I had labels made that I didn't need because they never implemented it. Well, then when they implemented it in the spring, most hunters did not even they didn't even know it even passed. So what happened is the store owners already had ordered all their product. They order in January and February. They ordered in all this natural deer lure, and then New Jersey changes the law. And what happened is the first year, they didn't really bother too many of the stores, from what I could tell. The stores sold all the natural, even though it wasn't supposed to be done. Some of the stores sent it back, and the manufacturer sent them synthetic. Now, here's the part. So there's no panic on my end because I already had it. What happened is people who were hunting, that's 2 years ago. Excuse me. What you would have noticed is there was really no deer lure on the wall in a lot of stores because a lot of stores took it down. So Signal 11 was on the wall with 100% synthetic written on top of a label that most people were very comfortable with because they've been using it for years. So that fall, it took till around October for guys to start using it. And then when they realized it worked, the word spread really fast at that point.
Yeah.
So I got to be honest with you. I was ready years before we had it. And
it kind of worked out for you in a way. I mean, it was kind of a good thing for you. I mean, it just like.
I actually got yelled at him the first year this. He probably doesn't even remember, but the first year this law passed, I went on the Signal 11 website, and it somehow still allowed me to purchase the natural. And I bought it, and it went through, and I was like, all right, cool, it's coming. Like, I'm using it anyway. I don't give a shit. And all of a sudden, like 2 days later, my phone rang, and it was him. And he's like, hey, I can't send this shit to your house. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And he's like, I have to send the synthetic. And I'm like, does it work? Does this fake stuff work? And it'll work. It worked. So it does work. Don't panic.
I mean, I don't think that how could someone be so successful selling scents if they didn't actually work? That's what keeps repeating in my head. And because I want to believe that maybe it's just a confidence booster, but then it keeps telling myself it has to work, or else there's no way it's selling that much, it's that successful just based on it being a confidence booster all in someone's head, right? I mean, that's what
Chris, 100%. And I'm going to tell you, the advertising that I do for my product, honestly, the first of all, the first 10 years I did zero advertising, maybe more. The last 3 or 4 years, only with the synthetic, I started to advertise. Before that, I never advertised. I think my budget for the last few years has been like $400. So that's nothing. It's all word of mouth. There was a time when I only sold it on eBay. I had a website, but nobody would go to it because they didn't even know what it was. I no longer sell my product on eBay. I'm 100%. I'm 100% customers year after year. The same people. I was actually just looking at my some of my paperwork. I have Christmas cards from people whom I never met that send me Christmas cards to tell me, please don't ever stop making it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is,
that's cool.
When I was making the natural deer lure, when we were allowed to sell it, I had a lot of guys that would buy a bunch of it at the end of the year. And if they weren't in like Texas or somewhere where the rut hits differently, I would actually call them and just make sure they didn't make a mistake. And they would say, no, you know what? We're all having luck with it. These companies go away and we don't want to next year not have it. And I tried to explain to them, there's no shelf life on my stuff. I use zero preservatives. The natural is good for 8 months to a year maximum, no matter what you do with it, because we don't freeze anything. That's not good. And now my synthetics are so good because we try to copy the compounds that are in real deer urines without using real deer urine. My synthetic is probably the best there is right now. And I'm obviously biased, but the reason I say that is I have people buying it and using it over the natural, but it still only has about a year shelf life because it still breaks down. And part of the problem is the plastic bottles. If I went to glass, you'd get more shelf life, but the glass doesn't work out. People complain, they break them, they drop them.
Yeah.
You know.
And you don't want it to have shelf life because you want people like me to have to buy 7 bottles every year. I understand. It makes perfect sense. You got to make money.
Fresh is best. I'm being honest with you. I have a crazy nose because I've been doing this for so long, and I mix everything by eye. Nothing's measured. Everything's by eye, by smell. When I have machines that I use, and when I'm running machines, every third or fourth bottle, I kid you not, goes to my nose. I'm the only one that fills. I have people that help me, that work with me, but I'm the only one that fills them because I check them before they go on the machines. And I'm the quality control because it's my business that would hurt.
Now, that's cool. That's real awesome that you do that. You said that you said you sold it to someone or they were testing it for you and they smelled it and they said it smelled great. And I wanted to jump in, but I didn't want to interrupt you again. But like when Joe sprays that crap, I can like taste it in my mouth. It tastes like I licked a deer's asshole. Like it's
perfect.
That's what we want to smell.
That's what you're talking about when you said it smells great.
Well,
right?
If we're trying to get a buck, I'm sure he's probably done what you just said a couple times to other deer. So we got to make sure it smells just like what he wants.
I just wanted to make sure that when you said it smelled great, that's what you were talking about, and I wasn't.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. After the season, usually we slow down. Late December, we slow down, but we have some states that are still going pretty good. But Jersey and obviously where the certain parts of the country end a little sooner. But for me, so then I slow down. I get into the fishing stuff and the fluke bellies and all that. But I'm back up working pretty much by May, June. We're already working. We don't fill anything, but we prep everything. There's a lot of work to do to prep bottles and containers and labels, and it's a lot of work to do. But as soon as I start rolling along, crazy as it sounds, it's the greatest to me. It's the greatest thing because I've been doing it so long that I can't imagine. I mean, I had opportunities to sell the business a couple times. I never did, thank God, because it's what I do. I love it. And that crazy, nasty smell to me, it just smells like success because I'm using it every time I go hunting. I can tell you that right now.
Every time you smell that, Chris, that smell, he's making money.
Yeah,
I mean,
one thing I think's hilarious about this is like if people are, because there are people all around the country, like he said, that they do know everyone knows tramp stamp. You would think it's like he's in Kansas or Idaho. Oh, this is the best deer scent in the country. He must be in Illinois or Kansas or he's in New Jersey. Like this shit's coming from Jersey. Like it's crazy.
Joe, you're right, Joe, and I got to tell you, many times, I mean, I talk to people from all over the country, so you know, just imagine what we sound like to them. We know they're thinking Sopranos as soon as they hear our voice, you know. So, but I've never had nothing but positive things said to me. They can't believe it, like you said, but they know people that swear by it, so they try it, and it doesn't really matter, you know, that it's literally coming from a home business in New Jersey. And that's the bottom line. When I first, you know, as you may know, Nugent is my partner on some of the stuff I do.
Ted Nugent? No, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Uncle Ted Nugent?
I'm actually good friends with Ted now. We're actually partners
on a couple of.
Yep. This is I just, you know, I'm surrounded. This is actually, you can't read it. This is actually one of Ted's lures. Ted, and what I was going to say is, when we first spoke, he was already a customer of mine for years. Somebody was buying it for him, and he was utilizing it. When he found out, just like you said, 100%, when he found out some guy was making this stuff in his house, and he couldn't go through a hunting season without it, he went crazy. He absolutely loved it. And so years later, we're partners. We're partners on 4 products that I make for Ted. And Ted's name's on it, my name's on it.
That's insane. I love Ted.
I was supposed to be with him Saturday, but I came down with a cold.
Oh my God.
I was up near, was going to Michigan, and I had to cancel on him because I was coughing and sneezing. And
this is crazy. So how do we get Ted Nugent on here?
It's very possible. He's
very possible.
It's very possible. Ted's he's awesome. I could call him and tell him one night. Maybe he would actually love to come on your show.
Now Joe's gonna be twitching.
He just said Uncle Ted Nugent would love to come on my show.
I'm kind of thinking he will, because he's going to be watching this when I send this to him after you guys post it up. And then,
yeah, he's gonna watch this and he's gonna say, "I'm not going on that show with that fanboy Joe. Look how he reacted when he said my name."
He's gonna look at the deer antlers behind me and say, "This guy's a pathetic loser."
Yeah. He listen. I'm gonna tell you, the guy doesn't judge anybody. You shoot what makes you happy, and he does the same. I mean, you know, he's
oh my God,
he's an awesome guy.
Yeah, he is. So, I know.
I'm going to try. I've been with him now I've been working with him for, this is our 3rd year together, I think. So I'm going to try to put a new product out each year for him. And so this year we introduced Nugent Nuggets. So I make the scraped nuggets, and we also make something called Nugent Nuggets, and they're his. And you know, if you ever watch, now he's on Pursuit. If you ever watch the Pursuit channel, Ted talks about me more than he talks about his own stuff. He's that kind of guy. You know,
I did notice that. But just so me and Chris don't get dragged out of our windows and beaten to death, let's get a little into the fluke bellies and the fish scents, or we will probably be murdered.
Yes, we don't want that.
Now the fluke bellies, I didn't even have any idea was associated with you. I actually do use those and have them. Didn't know they were yours.
Okay.
How'd you come up with that?
Do you want me to hit lip glue a little first and then go into that, or
yeah, let's do the lip glue first. Joe likes to flop around and just jump all over the place, but
I know there was an order to the okay, go ahead.
I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to explain how. I'll tell you how Jersey Fluke Bellies happened, partially because of lip glue. So I have a scent. Anyway, I make the lip glue. The lip glue, I have a liquid and a gel. The liquid is for putting on your either marinating your soft plastics or your jig skirts, and it will impregnate into the soft plastic, and you'll have scent. Okay. The gel is more popular because the gel has actual pieces of fish. So if you're using my crawfish gel, you actually are putting a gel on that will last for many casts, and it sticks really well. And on your boat, it won't drip out of the bottle, so it doesn't go all over the boat. You got to get up to about 110 degrees before it liquefies. So you can put it on your bait, whatever it is. You can put it on bucktails. You can put it on soft plastics. Guys that are Jen uses it on the hard baits all the time. And what happens is it creates a scent trail, but it also stays on the bait pretty good. So, like right now, the water's getting cold. The lip glue is awesome in this kind of weather because if you're slow fishing, if you get some bass that get over the top of your bait and they're eyeballing it, but they're a little lethargic, they start getting little pieces of crawfish floating up in front of them. Smell, taste, they're gonna hit it. And when we tested it on soft plastics without hooks. We were testing it and trying to rip it out of the fish's mouth to see if they would hit it again, not realizing that the predatory instinct of a fish, when something gets ripped out of their mouth, boom, they hit it again, which is not what we planned. And then I got a lot of guys when they're punching, they like it because it lubricates the jig and the trailer. So when they're punching, they're actually using a little less weight because it slides in through the thick shit real easy. So that's a whole nother reason why people are using it.
So now, how many that lip glue that you're talking, the one that you could rub into the lures, how many different scents does it come in? Like I heard you say, crawfish is one.
Yeah, crawfish is one. What I do is I have basically I started out with just freshwater. Now I do 2 saltwater scents that are really popular. So I have a craw, I have a night crawler, I have a shad, which happens to be one of Jen's favorites. I have something called Lunker Buster, which is a blend of craw, night crawler, and leech. And I just call it Lunker Buster. I just needed a name for it. And then I have 2 saltwater blends, which one is called Saltwater Buffet. It's a blend of different saltwater bait fish. And then I have one that I call the Stink. The Stink is really the most recent thing I made. That's geared toward bottom fish. What we did is we bonded some water base and some oil base scent together. So when guys are bottom fishing and you're jigging, what's happening is you're getting 2 things out of it. You're getting a low scent trail as you're bouncing it, and the oil-based stuff will start to float up. So you kind of get a real wide scent trail. And what we found is pretty much I have guys who take gulp, they pull it out of the jar, they dry it off quickly with a towel, and they put lip glue on it. And that's how their fish would gulp, because the gulp is a water base, the lip glue is a water and a gel. I'm sorry, a water and an oil base. So basically you're expanding your whole scent trail. So if you get fish pursuing, which we now with these underwater cameras, I'm sure Joe and Chris probably, if you fluke fish, I watch the underwater footage of the fluke, and you see how much they pursue before they attack.
Yeah.
So really the scent trail is a huge thing.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking about it for lake trout, because the lake trout they'll follow for 40 minutes.
Well, yeah. It's funny you should say that, and I just want to throw in, like, to a skeptical person, which I am, and I think a lot of people are, to imagine a scent trail in the water that's like a fish can follow from a distance. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, like, the biology of the water and the way things, it's different than the air. And besides that, the senses on the fish are, astronomically better than anything a human can do in the open air.
Yeah. And we, I would never tell anybody that. Just like my deer lure is not going to bring a deer in from a half a mile away, the fish scent isn't going to bring a fish in. They're visual, so they're sight animals. They're going to see it. The thing about the scent is, if you're fishing and they're hitting everything you're throwing in, you don't need to throw any scent on it. But what happens is, guys who use scent, they start to, like you mentioned, Jen. I mean, it becomes it becomes a huge confidence thing. But one thing in the bass fishing world, I will tell you, a lot of times guys, there's front boat fishers and a guy in the back, there's guys who use it constantly, and they will never not use it because for the amount of time it takes to put it on is so little. But at the end of the day, they catch fish that the days they don't use it, they feel like they don't do as well. So,
and you know what? Even there clearly is an actual, biological reason why this would help a fish either bite, like help it, that last thing, like, they're not coming in from the other side of the lake because they smelled your scent in the water.
Correct.
But when they're nosing up on, and especially in the cold water, it can definitely biologically make the difference between that fish taking a little nibble at it or taking it in its mouth and holding it, maybe even holding on to it for an extra second or two.
That's it.
I think Gulp pretty much proved it, that the scent makes a big difference. Obviously Steve doesn't have the resources that Berkeley had at the time, but
Correct.
Gulp revolutionized the industry and showed everyone, listen, you need this stuff that smells. Absolutely. The problem is that mankind has been unable to create a container that Gulp juice cannot leak through yet.
You're right. You're right.
Dude,
it can get through the hull of a cruise ship if it wanted to. It just can impermeate anything. It's ruined every bag. Now it's in a bucket with a lid on it. I don't know where to put it anymore.
It'll find its way out.
And I got to be honest, Joe. That what you just said there is really what has helped me the most, because there are so many people that are done ruining stuff with Gulp. They're so tired of it. I mean, I get it. Everybody fish with Gulp. Either they still do, or they did at one time, or they will in the future, because it's the biggest thing out there. But yeah, you're right. And 90% of the guys that are using Gulp are using a grub tail. So if you're using if you use a grub that's Gulp, that had no scent in it, let's just say there was such a thing, and you use a soft plastic grub, the visual is basically the same. Actually, the Gulp grub is actually probably the least exciting looking.
Yeah, the Gulp plastics kind of suck, if I'm going to be honest. As far as movement,
they're not actually plastic.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's the reason. I mean, we all know that Gulp break more now than they did 5 years ago and 10 years ago, no doubt. Is there a reason for it? Who knows? But Gulp is basically a sponge that's carrying a scent. The grub tail is pretty basic. There's a lot of grub tails out there. So the scent dispersion is really the most important part of the Gulp, because there's a million grubs you could buy that look exactly the same. Z-Man is the exact opposite. Z-Man is using like an Elastec plastic, which holds no scent. But if you look at what Z-Man does, they actually put the scent on the outside, like my stuff. They put it in a black garbage bag. They fill them up with thousands of grubs. They fill it up with the gel. They put it in a mixer, which looks like basically a cement mixer. They mix it, they take it out, and then people package them. That's how so their scent is on the outside, because that plastic can't even get impregnated by a scent because of the material it is.
I don't know what the hell that stuff's made out of, but if it touches anything else that's made of plastic in any way, shape, or form, it combines and just melts both things together, and it's a disaster.
What does yours come out like? Is it like that Gulp like oil, or is it like a pasty? Like what does it look like?
Gel.
My stuff, it looks like a gel, like
dry float for a fly, like dry fly float.
No, more like a well, there's stuff out there. There's others. It's more like a Procure type of scent, where when you squeeze it, you see like a bead of gel come out. I don't know if you know what that looks like, but
so I could buy plain 4-inch bucktails from Justin Yanetta, big buck base, and just rub this stuff on them, and I will never have to deal with Gulp juice ever again.
You could do that. I have a lot of people that the Gulp is now their backup for when they lose confidence in anything else, that are using the stuff I'm using.
Really?
All different types of baits. Yeah.
So you got people telling you they're out fishing Gulp with your stuff?
I've had people tell me that they did. I'll be honest with you. I've had people tell me they did just as good as anybody using Gulp. To outfish Gulp is tough because everybody's using it.
Yeah,
so you're not really. But if you smell Gulp, it smells like nasty vinegar. Fish if you're in a freshwater game, fish like garlic.
I always thought the gulp to me smelled like old paint or something
Yeah,
and you know what? Like I'm thinking about when I go fishing and I'm like a lot of these guys talk. It's like, oh, I'm going fluke fishing. Oh God, the gulp's on sale. I hate this shit, but all right, I need buy 3, get 1 free. I guess I'm buying 4. And I have all these other plastics that I love to use, right? Like I love Kalen's grubs. I've poured my own grubs. I haven't gotten to use the grubs yet from Big Buck Baits, but they look awesome too. And I know guys use them. And all these different kinds of plastics that have awesome movement in the water. X-Zone lure plastics. I love the X-Zone swammers, the paddle tails for lake trout and stuff. And I love the action on them. I don't like the action on any gulp product. I don't think it's just like you said. It's just a delivery system for this scent, and I so badly want to just never buy it again. But I haven't yet found a way to fish with to put a scent on one of these other plastics. And I've done it before. Like let's say I'm fluke fishing with a couple of guys on a 6-pack or something. Or we go out with my buddy and another 2 guys come, whatever, and you're fishing, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to try this. I like this Kalen's grub, and I'm going to rub this scent on it, and I'm going to use that instead of gulp. And everyone else is using gulp, right? They drop it down to catch a fish, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should just put the gulp. Like, I don't give it a shot, and I so badly want to, and I find myself shying away from it.
Yeah.
Before I can figure it out if it's can hold its own.
Sure. Well, another thing you could try, especially in the saltwater game, you can with the high-low rigs, you could try one on the low, one on the high. I mean, a lot of guys will take my Jersey Fluke Bellies or a gulp, and they'll put killies on there, or if the boat gives out squid, they'll put strip baits on there. So what it really comes down to is you got to find what they're hitting. I mean, color, I believe color has a lot to do with it too, especially when you're in the shallower waters. So, and I'm more of a freshwater fisherman than a saltwater fisherman. I do a lot of both. I'm very guilty. I'm not really a trout guy, to be very honest with you, just because the guys that take me trout fishing are usually, they're going after the stockers, and it's not really my thing. I'm really into the largemouth. That's kind of what I like. I've had.
Oh no!
That, Joe.
All right, the episode's over.
Is it? Yeah, I didn't.
I gotta go call everyone and tell them Ted Nugent's coming on anyway. But one other thing I did want to get clear and made sure I didn't forget and get it out there. The size of your bottle, it's pretty fair. I think it's $12.
Yeah.
Usually the bottle lasts me I mean, I know you said it has an expiration date, but I usually use it for like 2 seasons. The common bottle you'll find at the store of Tinks for about $8 doesn't even work realistically anymore. It just sucks, and it lasts like 2 cotton swabs, and it's just empty instantly. Yeah. So the bottle size that you do get from Steve is tremendously larger than like what you're going to find at Dick's.
Yeah,
and it's $12, so it's nothing like crazy.
It's $12, and I used to have flip top bottles, and I ended up putting the sprayers on because the sprayers for a lot of people, every spray is kind of metered, so you don't overdo it. And it also keeps the air out of the bottle with the sprayer a lot better than if you're taking the top off. And that really degrades the scent when you start taking the top off. But I take the top off if I'm going to dip a wick in it and hang it. But I'm burning through a bottle. Every 2 hunts, I got a new bottle.
Are you serious?
I use more.
He makes it himself. He doesn't have to save it.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't have to pay for it.
It's not the money.
Dump it everywhere.
He
has barrels of it.
I've had times where I've shot deer with 1 scent wick. I put 1 scent wick out, shot deer. I've had other times where I took the top off the bottle, poured it out, and killed the deer. So I've seen it both ways, you know.
I wish my brother was here. I had a deer. We had this deer on camera. It was one of the bigger racks that I ever got on my camera in my lifetime.
Right.
It would only show itself at night for 27 days in a row. It would only show itself at night. My brother wanted to take off to go hunting. I said it's impossible. The deer only comes out at 1 in the morning. I specifically ordered the buck ewe. I said the buck ewe is the only chance I have. I bought it. The bottle, basically, when you read the bottle of buck ewe, it says once you spray this, your hunt's over. You're looking for a giant or nothing because the spray itself is going to scare every deer away.
Yep.
I said, screw it. I sprayed it out, and I shit you not, within 45 minutes, this monstrous buck beelined it right to the buck ewe, and I missed him.
Yeah.
And I missed him. And that was the end of the hunting season last year. But that did bring him right in. So I've seen this stuff work. Now I'm intrigued by the fishing thing.
How did we get back into hunting? I want to talk about.
Yeah, let me segue into the fluke bellies from the lip glow.
That's right. Yeah, I ruined the whole thing again. Sorry.
That's all right. I had a friend of mine, Jeff. We were talking, and he's the one who actually wanted to make the Jersey Fluke Bellies. It was kind of something that he always wanted to do. I don't even know what year it changed, but now you gotta have the rack if you're gonna, the fish that you're taking a belly off of. So it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
So he knew I had the scent already. He was using my scent, and we were talking. And I said, I fooled around with soft plastics. I had a couple molds, one little tiny injector, and I would make some soft plastics for fishing. So I said to him, "Come on up. Let's see what we can do." So he came up to my house, and we made a couple baits, and he really never seen that process of making a soft plastic, the hobbies, at a hobby level. So he was like, "Wow, that's really cool," And he's not a freshwater guy at all. Joe will love him because he's not a largemouth guy. So he's a saltwater guy. So I said, "Well, let me see what this bait you're talking about looks like." So he literally drew it for me, and he showed me. As soon as he drew it, I said, "Okay, like a fluke belly." And he said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
So within probably like 2 days of him getting excited, because he had told me about it a few times, and I said to him, "Jeff, I said, if you can't keep talking about it. Let's just do something." So we made a prototype together. We all put a prototype together. We made a prototype. It was gigantic compared to what we sell now. We didn't know which way we were going with it. So this would have been off of like a 10-pound fluke, this belly. It was so big. So we gave them out. We made them. They're hard. I mean, I still have them, actually. We gave them out. We had guys fish them. And, everybody always says, "Oh, big bait, big fish." Although I don't want to catch a small one. I want a big bait. Well, all the guys on the head boats that we gave them to came back and said, "Yeah, you know what? We did best when we cut them a little bit, or we cut them in half."
Yeah.
So we ended up coming up with 2 better prototypes. And then eventually we came up with a very similar debate to what we have today. And my buddy was so nervous. He's like, "I don't know. We got to do this." I said, "Listen, I already was doing the deer lure for years.
Yeah.
I was already doing the lip glue." I said, "Listen, we're partnering up. I'll basically get the business end of it going. We got to just make sure this product is good." So what we did is we opened up an LLC together. We're 50-50 partners, and his name's Jeff. He's a great guy. I'm still friends with him. And the Jersey Fluke Bellies were born. We came up with the name, the logo, whatever. We got it out there, and it exploded. They used to be in a little round jar.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember. They were a little tiny. Actually, to be honest with you, it's the same jar as this. These are my nuggets. So I had these jars already.
Yeah.
We rolled 6 of them up. We stuck them in there. We had them marinated with lip glue.
Uh-huh.
The stores started putting them on their counters, which is the greatest place to have anything. That's the throne of a retail store, is their point of sale at the counter. That we couldn't make them fast enough. So for 2 or 3 years, we went crazy, hand pouring these baits one at a time. And guys were crushing them. And then Tom P had us on his radio show, and he was bragging about him, and it really went crazy because guys were catching fish with something that wasn't gulp. It was something different. It was a little cheaper. It was stronger, a little stronger. They worked, which was the most important thing. And a lot of people loved that it was Jersey and it was Fluke Bellies and it looked like a Fluke Belly.
Does the package for those say Signal 11 on them?
No.
See, that's why I don't know. I didn't know this.
That's what a package looks like. Jersey Fluke Bellies.
See, how would I know that that's you?
You wouldn't. And I'm the least important part of the whole equation. So it's not Signal 11 lures. It's Jersey Fluke Bellies. It's just it's something else that I own. Like the lip glue doesn't say Signal 11 on it either. Actually, in the very beginning, and if anybody has them, they're probably collectible, but the original bottles were actually Signal 11 lures was actually before lip glue. And it actually has, I believe it had something, I don't remember if we had a bass and like a marlin on it. It was crazy. I have bottles somewhere. It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. Because
Jen Wong has 5 of them in a bulletproof case in his living room.
Jen Wong has 2 that he turned into earrings.
He rented a backhoe and has an underground bunker filled with this shit in case something happens to Steve.
That might be true. I bet you he has a lifetime supply.
I'm pretty sure he's eating this stuff himself also.
He's always asking me for more because he uses it more than me, put it that way. But the thing about Jen Wong compared to me is Jen is really actually a great at. He's out there fishing.
Oh, yeah.
That guy, the guys who introduced me to him said, "Are you going to meet my friend? Wait till you meet my friend." He's an unbelievable fisherman. I'm very good friends with Jen, and he is gracious. He always takes me, always offers to take me out. I've been out with him. The guy is like a fish magnet. He really is. I mean, he does it more than you think. Fishes all
more than I think he goes every day. He goes
every day.
He's out there. He's all over the place. I mean,
I think he does post the lip glue bottles in his trout pictures too. So he must use it for trout.
He does. I have trout guys that use it. I mean, my garlic and my nightcrawler are really popular with trout guys. A lot of ice guys use it. They're and I'm not a huge ice. I love to go ice fishing for a couple, for whoever's got the drinks. I'll bring the food, the venison, and I'll cook out. I'm not really into sitting there fishing for them, but I'll have a lot of ice fishermen that use
it does sound good for ice fishing, Chris. We don't have to keep buying. I know we don't have to keep buying live bait. We could use the little rubber.
Well, the way this state is heading, there may not be anywhere to get live bait soon, unfortunately. And I'm dead serious about that. I mean, we've talked about it before. It's a big problem. I don't use live bait during the season too much. We got into it a little bit more this year for certain things. It definitely has its place, obviously, but for ice fishing, you want to set those tip-ups up. What are you going to put on the tip-ups? I mean, I guess you could put worms or something on there, but nothing's going to work like a live shiner on the tip-up.
Yeah. All right, before he has to go, can I please just ask about the buck nuggets? Because
we're going back to hunting again?
I have to. I don't know what they are, and I want to know what they are.
Before you get it back into the hunting, I didn't get to ask what I wanted to ask about the fishing stuff.
All right, fine.
The lip glue, you went through the scents, but you didn't have herring scent, did you, or did I miss that?
No.
Now, is the shad scent, you think, similar enough to like a herring scent, or?
Yeah, I mean, what I found and what I found out is that some guys have tried. I've had guys who told me, there's a lot of guys that they're garlic guys, like they're using garlic all the time, and then they'll try something else. You know what? I throw a lot of. They'll say I throw a lot of Senko. I want to get some nightcrawler, and what I tell them is, put that on anything. You could put that on a Kitech swim bait. I mean, Kitech uses squid. I have the exact same squid scent that Kitech uses.
See, I think me personally, I think Kitech has the best scent of any soft plastic. So if you've matched that one, I think Chris probably agrees too. Isn't that your favorite one, Chris?
I mean, yeah. You know what? I just I like more the movement of it. I'm not that much into the scents. Like I'm trying to get into it, and like talking to you, Steve. Now I'm definitely more curious about it. I'm definitely
Yeah,
gonna
he's
try to use
definitely
it
going
more.
to go on the website and order stuff. I know that for sure. So
I just
Well,
wish I wish the local. I don't think the local shop that I go into. I don't think they carry.
oh, they I think Garden State Bow and Reel, he's got a whole shelf of it. You
Yeah.
could pretty much get everything there, right?
That's not my
Yeah.
local shop. That's couldn't be more out of the way for me.
Well, it's in our
Where's your
ice
shop,
fishing
Chris?
territory.
I got the Sporting Life over in White House.
Okay. No, I don't. I actually had the lip glue in there for a while. And they just, what it is. If a store owner is not into it or believe, if he doesn't use it, he's not going to push it. It's like the deer lure, pretty much every store I have almost every store in New Jersey, they're all hunters. They all use it. So it helps. But, right down the road isn't what Heritage Guild right down the road from you? Or no, is that?
I do not know. I've never heard that Heritage
Oh,
Guild. I don't even know what that is.
I
I
thought
think
they were near there.
I don't even know what shop that is. Have you
It
heard
probably
The
is
good
near
news
there.
is-
He just doesn't. He just moved there. He doesn't
Oh,
even
okay.
know
that?
where
Yeah, I'm
he
not
is.
that familiar with the area. I guess
The good news is with the
I've been over a
website,
year, but
you get it. In Jersey, you have it 1 to 2 days. You have it because I'm filling orders every day. We do it multiple times a day. We hit the post office multiple times a day. So if you ordered something, even now the rut's coming up. If a guy orders deer lure, there's orders coming in right now because I can hear it on my computer. As soon as I'm done with you guys, I'm filling orders, and I got my family involved, and we'll be at the post office at 9 in the morning.
this show is slightly delaying hunters from getting their rut sense.
All right,
There's plenty of time. It's just
real
kicking
quick.
up.
How do the nuggets work? What are the nuggets?
So the scrape nuggets are. I have some interesting names. I have Buck U, Tramp Stamp, Brain Fart, Wet Spot, and Freezer Filler. Those are my 5 deer lures that I've had for almost 17 years. The nuggets are really, they were made for scrapes. This is. I have a jar. Comes in a jar like this. You take the top right off, and all you do is, if you have a mock scrape or you build a mock scrape, or if there's a natural scrape, they were formulated for you to just reach over without touching anything, sprinkle them in the scrape, maybe 20, 30 of them. A jar will do about 5 to 7 scrapes. What they are is they're a polymer. They slowly release the scent. In those nuggets is buck scent and doe scent inside these nuggets. It's a 4-ounce jar. You got about 6 ounces of liquid that gets, actually volume wise, ends up filling up these nuggets. The nice thing about them is, and I got to take a sip.
No problem.
I'm fighting a cold.
We allow water breaks here. It's all right.
Thank you. The nice thing about them is you don't have to use a drip bag to put the scent in the scrape.
Yeah,
These
that's
nuggets
what's... Chris, we need those too.
Do we?
You got to keep going in.
Oh yeah, we need those. We need those right
What
now.
I'm gonna do, Steve, is I'm going to send Joe to your website, and I'm just gonna let him buy all kinds of shit, and then I'm just gonna take it from him.
Yeah, well, that's all. That happens a lot. But the
Okay, so before Steve has to go, so we could plug all this stuff. Signal 11 Lures. That's obviously easy to find. You just Google Signal 11 Lures, and you have Facebook. Do you have Instagram too?
yes.
Now the Fluke Bellies you cannot find on the Signal 11 website. You have to go to.
You can. What I have right now is everything goes to the same shopping cart and website, but you can type in any name you want. You can type in lipglue.com, jerseyflukebellies.com, or signal11lures.com. It all goes to my same site. That's when people start to realize it's all coming from the same person.
So can I actually add like 2 deer lures and a bag of Fluke Bellies to my cart in one order?
You can.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. Is it separate shipping costs? It's all coming from you, I guess.
Yeah,
all comes from me.
One order. That's
Everything I make every bait. I make the lip glue. I make every single deer lure. Everything gets done by hand. We do it all ourselves. It's basically a one-man show. I do have help that I'll bring in once in a while, or my family. This is what I do. I do it. I'll be up till 2 in the morning doing this stuff. So when you order it, The quality control is second to none. I either like these baits here. I actually made it. I mean, I make them. Me and my son make them. We bag them. We label them. We take the orders. We get them out the door. If you have a problem, my phone number is on the website. You call me. I answer my cell phone that actually I'm on. I talk to you, pretty much anytime. It's just I'm still a small guy, and I'm planning on staying that way. So yes, Joe, you can order everything from the same website. The shipping is right now. I try to absorb as much of the shipping because I know people hate ordering stuff. Then they put their zip code in there like, shit, I got to pay $12 shipping. That's ridiculous. Basically, if you order a product from me, I think the flat rate is $3.50. So you're going to pay $3.50, and then when you add something to it, you're paying 50 cents. So if you order 2 products, you're paying $4. That's cheaper than what I actually pay. I actually take a little hit on all the shipping. So if you order a bunch of stuff, you're still only paying $3.50 and 50 cents a product. So basically, you're paying for some of the shipping. I'm paying for some of the shipping. You're not paying for all the shipping.
I mean, how do you beat that?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is,
Steve, you have anything else that you want to plug before we say goodbye?
No, most important.
What's that?
I'm just glad that you guys invited me on. That's.
I can't thank you enough for coming on. I think it's been really interesting. You're a different type of guest than one we've ever had. I know it veers a little towards hunting more than fishing, but there is fishing
That's
involved
only
here.
because you wouldn't stop talking about it.
Listen. I haven't seen the fishing stuff yet. The hunting stuff I'm infatuated with because I've seen it in person. I will now try the fishing stuff.
I will say this, Steve. I've known about Jersey Fluke Bellies for a while. I thought when I first saw it, I think I remember when it wasn't that long ago, only a couple years you guys started that, you said, right?
Yeah, I think 2017.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm pretty sure I saw the beginnings of that on social media, Instagram page that you made, and I saw it and I was like, oh, that looks cool. That's a good idea. Like cutting the fluke bellies back in the day when you were allowed to do that. Right. That was the ticket. That got some nice fish. That was the shit. I mean, that really worked. And I saw that and I was like, that's a cool idea. Like, I wonder how well it works. And I never saw it in the stores that I was going into. And then I'd forget about it for a little bit. And then I'd see you probably like, I gotta try those out. I gotta order them. And I never did. And I said to Joe before we started doing this whole podcast thing and everything, I said, it's cool. We're going to, guys are going to want to come on and promote their stuff and this, that, and the other thing. I'm not going to promote any random guy that says, oh, hey, I make these rods. Like, trust me, they're really good. Like, can you help me sell them? Like,
yes. And we've never been paid by him. We don't know him. We just know he didn't try to slip us a secret $100 like Adam Mihara and bribe us. He's here because we truly believe and know his products work, and that's what he's doing here.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, in the hunting stuff, I mean, like, I know it was just one time, and I don't believe in magic, obviously, but I mean, it was pretty telling, like I said, and I definitely would want to use it. Huh?
That deer was never on our trail camera once.
No, I saw like the way that deer was acting. And like I said, it came in for a reason, and you had just sprayed that stuff. So that was pretty telling for me. I won't say that I'm like 100% sold, but I am sold on it. Like, I saw it work.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. He told us he didn't feel good, and we told him we needed him 15 minutes. And we've had him here for 2 hours.
I'm going to let him go, but I just want to say, basically, when it comes to the fishing scent, I've been wanting to try your stuff for a while. And I'm looking forward to try. I want to use it. I'm going to check it out for sure. Guys like Jen Wong that swear by it, and I know he knows what he's doing. It's all very telling, and I can't wait to use the fishing versions of your scents. And that being said, thanks for coming on. It's awesome to hear how you run your business, just like a local New Jersey guy running a small business that became something bigger.
Chris is actually going to be going after his first buck this month, and he's going to be using Tramp Stamp.
Good. Yeah, you should. I mean, the amount of deer that are harvested every year on that bottle of tramp stamp is absolutely amazing. It keeps me doing this because I don't even hunt. I can't even hunt as much as I would like to, but the amount of deer that just New Jersey alone is astronomical. How many guys use it successfully year after year? It's incredible.
I really appreciate what you do. I appreciate you coming on here, and I really do appreciate your price because, like I said, it's very fairly inexpensive for the size bottle that you get. And thank you.
And, you know, the synthetic stuff is actually cost more. It actually costs a lot more than actually buying a urine base. So you know, I all the years I've been in business, I went up $1 in 15 years. It was $11 forever, and because it was Signal 11, which has nothing to do with $11, I kind of was stuck on it. But it got to the point where I was like, man, you know, at some point, everybody, you know, forget COVID, that really screwed people over. Everybody blames the supply chain. But yeah, Joe, you're right.
I'm tired of hearing the excuses.
Yeah,
don't start them with COVID, please.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Forget that I even said that. But yeah, thank you. $12 for that bottle is definitely, you know,
yeah,
it's definitely a good deal.
Thank you so much. And if you're watching, please try and support Steve and local business. He's one of the most famous products in the country right here from New Jersey. Steve, thank you. If you're ever interested in going fishing with us, that'd be awesome.
I would love that.
Hey, yeah, I was going to say, when you're talking about the trout, you weren't really into the stock trout and stuff. I mean, New Jersey has some awesome wild trout streams as well. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't use your sense there, but the fishing's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would love that. I really would. And that's something that, you know, I've done it, but not at a higher level. And I would love to just be a part of it, even if I'm watching up close.
We could make
or
that
learning
happen.
something. I'm always looking to learn something, you know.
We could definitely make that happen.
And there's even some spots where the streams kind of like where the boundaries are, you know, like obviously the fish swim. You got a wild trout stream with the boundary is this bridge here, and then you got a stocked area a little bit further down where those nice sides.
All right, he's starting a whole nother episode. Steve, thank you for coming on. You just have to go, or it won't stop. So we never get to nicely say goodbye to anyone.
Keep up the great work, because this is really an excellent podcast that you guys are doing here.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
Anytime. Take care.
You got to just hit the red circle. Okay. He was good, dude. I mean, it was a hunting podcast, but he was good.
Oh, he makes the fish sense too. I mean,
yeah, but I couldn't get off it. I had to just fucking.
I'm willing to bet that at least I'm willing to bet.
Is this the show?
Yeah. So I'm willing to bet that at least 50% of the anglers that listen to this also hunt. What do you think?
Wait, this is still the show, the actual podcast, or we're taking a break?
What is wrong with you?
All right. I thought we were going to cut and take a break, but apparently we're going to just keep rolling. So, yeah, Steve's gone. Yeah, so that was an interesting guest. Deuce is screaming at me right now that it's 8:30. You guys can't hear him. He's yelling. It's actually ridiculous that I wish you could hear him.
Joe thinks the show is over.
The show's over. I thought it ended. I don't know why it's still recording.
Deuce is screaming at you to keep going and end the fucking show.
All right, so the show's over. We'll see everyone next week. Yeah, it's over.
I mean, yeah, why not? You did the intro. The ending's hilarious. I don't know.
It's over.